Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar titled Magaya Customs Compliance Built for What's Next. We're all really excited to have you here. We have an excellent presentation all around the world of customs compliance and the ever-changing landscape that it finds itself in. But before we dive into the actual subject itself, let's go ahead and let's go over a few housekeeping rules. First and foremost, everyone's going to walk away today with a door prize, and that is you are going to receive a recording of the webinar. You're welcome. Also, send us your questions via the Q&A panel. A lot of the times, whenever we have these webinars, we get some questions through the chat and we're unable to see them, and we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So make use of that good Q&A panel that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. And then last and not least, make sure to download any desired collateral on our resources tab. You should see that in the screen in front of you. It's everything that has to do with the subject at hand. Even during some moments, you'll see that we'll refer to some of the pieces of collateral that are on your screen. Those are free to take. Go ahead and enjoy them. And now that we've gotten the housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and let's present today's fantastic speakers. My name is Alfred. I'm the Director of Growth Marketing here at Magaya. I've been with the company for 11 years and loving every second of it. Next up, we have Stephen Johnson. Stephen is our Senior Account Executive, especially when it comes to customs compliance. Go ahead and say hi, Stephen.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Alfred. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for having me here today, guys.
Absolutely, a pleasure having you. And then we have Matt Fatui. He is the Chief Technology Officer at Magaya Customs Compliance, formerly known as AceLink. And his career began as a software engineer, followed by 15 years leading a tech consulting firm. He launched AceLink after exiting his consulting firm and was acquired by Magaya in 2020. And in the past 5 years has completely changed the landscape of Magaya Customs Compliance. So go ahead and say hi, Matt.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, and glad to be here.
Now, thank you for being with us. So, I know that I've mentioned it already twice about the ever-changing landscape of customs compliance, especially with the current administration. We're seeing a ton of things, dynamically speaking, when it comes to customs compliance. Speaking of, let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's level set. What is the current customs compliance challenge that you're seeing? And Stephen, I'm going to pitch this one to you.
Yeah, of course, Alfred. Happy to take this topic. So, not only internal, but a lot of external pressure here in our industry, just kind of occupational hazards, right? That happens when you're dealing with Customs Border Protection, the associated government agencies. What's happening right now, I'm sure everyone's seeing, is the changes in the tariffs that are really shifting trade agreements, and continuing to reshape how global trade does operate. With a little bit of this political instability and rapid regulatory changes, and I do mean rapid. I don't know how our development team is sleeping or eating right now, but they're doing a fantastic job at keeping the system compliant and up to date. Kudos to Matthew, Jordan, the product team. For doing that for not only myself but our customers, of course, and these have real world consequences, right? Whether it's errors or delays in filings that are leading to costly fines and penalties, or shipments being held up at the border. Ultimately, customer frustration, right? Your customer's upset, brokers are upset, whoever, the filer is upset because these changes are causing breakdowns in operation. But like I mentioned earlier, with our development team not being able to sleep, we've tried to simplify it as best as possible with some of the notifications and hard stops, soft warnings within the system to to compliantly help navigate through these changes.
And speaking of those changes, and I know that this is me just shooting off the cuff right here, one of the cool things that Magaya did was when the de minimis Type 86 was going away, I know that there was a huge mad dash where other people just kind of shrug and said, well, it is what it is. I know Magaya did a couple of cool things to be able to make sure that our customers didn't miss a beat. What were some of those things, if you can share, either Stephen or Matt?
Yeah, of course. Matthew, I could touch on it and maybe uh, hand over the mic, but I think our team did a fantastic job back in, what was it, Matt, February, when the first change that kind of happened with Type 86, where formal and informal entries were required for those couple of short days, right? We were ready.
Yeah,
We had the
yeah,
conversions in place, the formal conversion, informal conversion. Yeah, go ahead.
exactly. No, we started that development even before
Right.
everything went into effect because we were anticipating it.
Yep. Yeah. And I remember, I remember at least three customers coming over and saying, "Hey, I'm using so and so. I don't want to throw any names under the bus. And we can't use it right now because Type 86 is not allowed." They signed up and they've been using our system ever since. And it's been great. Not only for some of the formal and informal transitions in the market, adding those 9903s, but automating the process and the workflow as well. So filing AMS ACAS, converting it into an inbound shipment straight from within the platform. No double data upload required. The click of a button instead of manually uploading new information to create entries from e-commerce shipments. Matthew and his team doing a fantastic job with the broker AI solution, the in-house broker AI solution to help automate some of those workflows for brokers, importers, freight forwarders alike. It's been challenging but exciting to see the team come together, like a family when our customers needed our help. And again, hats off to Matt, hats off to Jordan, Amara, the whole customs compliance team really did a great job at preparing, implementing, and making available the solutions that are required right now based on the political landscape.
Yep. Talk about rising to the occasion. I know that you guys did not miss a single beat. And speaking of, we're going to talk briefly right now, take a pause on one of the most downloaded, most engaged with, and probably one of the most popular pieces of collateral that Magaya Marketing has ever put out there. And that was the State of Digitization report. We released that earlier in the year. And essentially, what we did is that we interviewed and surveyed a bunch of freight forwarders, and not only the freight forwarders, but the freight forwarders' customers, just to get a pulse check on the industry and what the trends are going to look for. So essentially, we pretty much gave everyone who downloaded this piece of collateral, which you should see on your screen right now, and you should be able to download a crystal ball of what they can anticipate in 2025 and moving forward. And some of the things that we found, especially the challenges of part of the larger industry trend, were these three main ones. We also had part of our Moving Freight Forward tour, the first leg of it, which was in Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta. And it was so funny because as we were going through the State of Digitization report, a lot of these challenges were 100% in alignment with what real life customers were telling us. So the first and foremost was outdated systems create bottlenecks. Second of all, you have visibility gaps that hinder fast decision making, and then third and not least is demand is rising for a unified digital platform. So when you see these challenges, Matt and Steven, does it surprise you? Do you think that this is on pace? Is this something that you're seeing a lot with, especially the people that work with customs? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think our industry is constantly changing, and some of these things are to be expected with some of the providers that maybe aren't preparing accordingly. But Matt, did you want to touch a little bit on it, or yeah? I feel like I've
No,
taken a lot of the mic.
no, no. You're doing really
Okay,
fine,
cool.
and that's good. But that's definitely the trend. Yes.
Yeah, I agree, Alfred.
Yeah, and especially the last one, the unified digital platform, because
Mhm.
most of the times people are in agreement. It's if you have to do so many separate parts of your operations on different platforms that are all disconnected and siloed and don't communicate with one another, it's just going to create not only redundant data entry, errors in the data, it's just going to create all these gaps that people mention specifically in the State of Digitization report. So, what does this mean? Essentially, we distilled it down to it creates an urgent need for tools that close these gaps and empower teams to operate at digital speed. And that's where we get to meet Magaya Customs Compliance. And so, can you tell us a little bit about how, especially this modern platform, the Magaya Customs Compliance, helps fill in all these gaps?
Yeah, so I wanted to share some of the principles on which I launched this product. What I envisioned was to build a platform that served the community of customs brokers so that if we developed a feature for one, it would benefit all. I also wanted to take away the burden of having to deal with setting up servers and establishing and maintaining ABI connections, essentially creating a turnkey software that could be accessed from anywhere and on any device, and that it would let brokers focus on their operations instead of worrying about IT. I also wanted to eliminate the cost associated with software upgrades needed to stay compliant with regulatory changes and to make all updates and upgrades free of additional charges, allowing small shops and to afford a fixed budget. A platform that was designed to serve small and large operations. Users would pay based on how much cloud resources they utilized, and the platform could scale up in minutes to accommodate unexpected increase in demands, like what we have experienced this year. Later, we built an API layer, which standardizes the CATER into contemporary message set formats, such as XML and JSON, allowing real-time interface with external systems through our API, and essentially act as a translation and communication gateway between client systems and customs. This allows companies to file directly from their internal systems and receive response messages in real time within their own applications.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
couldn't agree more. And I've been working for Matthew for 11 years now, and he's done just that. Some of these highlighted bullets here, automated ABI filings, real-time updates through, API availability that we've implemented into the platform, built-in error validations when you're uploading data, validation checks such as value to weight ratio for one, consignee. When you submit transactions, are you missing data? Is there a hard stop because you're missing, mandatory data? Which kind of leads into a modern, intuitive user interface, and that's what I've always loved from the beginning about our customs solution is the user interface and how easy it is. It's some of the most common feedback that I get. With the open API, you can integrate it with just about an ERP, right? We've got the API specs available to receive data and even push data in some instances to not only the filers but the customers of the filers. So again, hats off, kudos, well done, Matt.
Yeah. And from when Matt
Nice.
was describing it at the beginning, it seemed like a very egalitarian software, and we honestly love to see that. So we've been essentially telling you all the benefits, where the gaps lie, where this Magaya Customs Compliance helps fill in those gaps. But as humans, we're very much visual learners. So right now we're going to take a break from speaking and we're actually going to show you a demonstration of the system itself. And I think Steven's going to go ahead and take that care of that for us. So
Got it. I'll turn off my camera here.
you don't want to be a distraction, Steven. I gotcha.
This is our customs compliance solution, the dashboard that you see every time you log in. For those of you using the solution, this should look really familiar. It's really neat that our dashboard can allow users to customize the appearance, how it displays each time that user logs in based on their role within the organization. We've got our shipment located in each horizontal row, and then the columns represent the different data elements. But let's say that I don't file 214s, or I don't do 7512s, or I don't manage any of the billing as my role. I can remove these columns, and in the background, you'll see the columns start to kind of eliminate and disappear, excuse me, um, to allow a more user operated appearance or workflow to appear each time on their dashboard. So it's really neat that you can customize that. I'll refresh my settings to go back to how I have my dashboard set. But it just helps with organization, visibility, workflow for each user within the organization. Um,
in the menu icon, this is where we open up all the different functionality, like the different modules that would be associated here within our platform. And with each shipment, we have similar menu icon to keep it consistent with shipment specific information, like uploading documents. I can add in drag and drop files or add them from my computer here. If I get those DIS requests from customs, that way this particular document can be stored with this shipment, so it'll appear automatically whenever customs gets a DIS request for you or sends a DIS request. So it's really all tied into the shipment there with, adding documents, sending to DIS, which is, again, document imaging system, accessing the invoice for that particular shipment, adding notes. The notes will also provide a footprint of everything that's happened with that shipment and allow users to enter notes or make them visible or not for their customer. You can move shipments to different folders. If you do a lot of inbounds, for example, pending arrival, this just helps with organization workflow to make sure that you and your team are operating as effectively, as efficiently as possible. And then back to the menu icon, the main menu icon, this is where a lot of the magic happens, right? We've got our admin module, our billing module. These are the two modules that you start out with within our platform that allow you to create users in admin, update the user roles, automate lots of notifications to be sent out, automate reports to be sent out, going back to the inbound, the pending arrival. So if you have any inbounds that are pending arrival, it'll give you a list via Excel or CSV based on the parameter that you set it, whether it's weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it may be here, to say, hey, don't forget about these inbounds. You filed them, but they need to be arrived, or they need to be exported, depending on whatever sort of report you want to automate, just to keep you guys as compliant as possible. Billing, adding your billing information into invoices. So you have your header information, your logo, your terms and conditions, who your customer's paying. All that information is available in the billing module. And that's part of like the configuration. Going back to the main menu icon, after admin and billing setup, we'll go to your trade parties, importers, and parts. And this is, kind of, again, configuration of the account to illuminate the simplicity of the filing process later. So configure everything correctly at the beginning, and it makes the filing process much easier in the long run. So importer counts, all of your importers, all of your trade party, or excuse me, all of their licenses, their bond information, all of that's going to be stored in the importer counts module. The trade parties, this is where, Steven's importing. This is, say, if I'm a broker, this is one of my customers. If I'm a self-filing importer, this is me. And these are the trade parties that are stored in Steven's Importing LLC database. So like Brett's Toyland Empire, Jakku's Toyland Emporium, lots of toys here. I've got 4 daughters, so maybe that's on my mind. Steven's Importing LLC, the consignee itself. These are manufacturers, foreign entities and domestic entities stored under Steven's Importing account. And the cool thing about it is inside each entity, if you do add like FDA registration number, or if you add a DUNS number and the contact information, first, last name, phone number, email, it'll populate into the PGA forms. If you're doing FDA, foreign supplier verification, PNS, prior notice submitter, those things, those entities will be populated automatically based on how you configure the trade parties here. Also, inventory parts. We've got a newly optimized parts module that allows you to store lots of parts. You can search for your parts here, avocado, for example. And I've got my avocado part that I've used before. This is really going to be for filers that are managing inventory with FTZs or automating PGA data. So if I have avocados, for example, I can add the natural state food, the NSF indicator, the FDA product code, and maybe like the product packaging. Say it's kilograms. That way, when I use this part inside of an entry form, I've pre-keyed or pre-configured information to automate the data that appears later. So it can create potentially a hands-free filing operation for you when FDA's applicable, depending on how much you automate from the beginning. So once you're all configured, we've got admin, billing, trade parties, importers, and inventory parts. We're ready to start filing. One really cool feature is our Broker AI solution. So I've got the Broker AI module that allows filers to drag and drop PDFs into our Broker AI module, and it'll create entries. It'll create ISFs, commercial invoice. It'll create these customs forms automatically from the PDF docs that you guys are receiving from either the freight forwarder or the importer or whomever. But the Broker AI assistant is really geared toward assisting. That's why the Broker AI assistant, assisting filers with high volume entries, right? So if you have lots of line items, this is where our Broker AI solution is really going to come into play. You can turn a 3-hour entry into a 20-minute entry, depending. Again, it's all conditional in the customs realm. And then if you guys, as you grow, Magaya will grow with you. The training module that we have, or training application here, if I were to click on this circle down here in the bottom right with the question mark, it pulls up different WalkMe applications. So filing an ISF walkthrough, for example. I love this feature. I love when we purchased this and implemented it into our system, because it really gives filers step-by-step tutorial. I can't try to dummy proof it as best as possible, but I can't click out of here. I hover over the main menu icon, click on the ISF icon, enter my importer account, load form. And this WalkMe application is really cool. It takes you through every step of the process. I can enter my SCAC, HDMU. I remember when we created these, it took a lot of time to do it. It was very expensive, but totally worth it. And I think it's been helpful in many different ways. So that WalkMe application will walk you through the form. This is our ISF form, single page, top to bottom. The same goes for all of our forms, as you guys are probably aware. But any customs form here within our platform is a single page from top to bottom, without the need to leave the form for any reason aside from maybe like PGA, which would show up here within the screen anyway. But all of our forms, ISF, entry summary, inbound, 214s, all of them are single page. We also offer a drawback and recon solution for either those that are in specific need for those types of filings, or maybe a broker who needs it in their back pocket. You can use it on a transactional basis if you're bundling it with something else, and have those available. AES, all AMS solutions. So truck, air, ocean. You can file the house bills, manifest the house bills for your air shipments, for your ocean shipments. And the really cool thing about our manifest modules is the ability to not only submit, so when you upload it, you can submit the ACAS, you can submit the AMS. If you're doing e-commerce, you can create the Type 86. It allows you to do that in one fell swoop with the upload of the data, but it also allows you to generate other types of customs forms from that manifested data. So right now, what's really popular are inbounds being created for e-commerce shipments. They're coming in, the brokers are manifesting the house bills, and then they're sending them out on an inbound. Well, you can create 7512s from the Air Manifest module. You can create 86 entries from the Air Manifest module. Another really cool feature that was recently developed is the Type 86 module, even here, and the ability to create a formal entry, to create an informal entry. You can do that from within our 86 module. As you know, tariffs are going crazy right now. Type 86 is eliminated from some countries. And you still have the data in that, in that Excel upload that you've used before, or maybe you're brand new to it. You can receive the data via Excel or API. We have an API with all of these. Upload it into the 86 module, and then create a formal or informal entry as needed. Really cool feature that's helped alleviating the complexity associated with the volatility in our market. So as you can see, our development team is trying to keep their heads above water as we move forward into deeper deeper and deeper into 2025 and the tariff changes and regulation changes. But they've done a fantastic job at implementing what needs to be implemented to help filers ultimately remain compliant, which is what's most important, right?
Well, I think that was a pretty thorough overview, Stephen. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. All right, and with that, we move on to our Q&A portion of the presentation. So, like we mentioned in the beginning, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A panel that you have right there below you, and we'll start answering those for you live on the webinar. I believe we actually have one already. So, first question is, how does Magaya keep up with the constantly changing regulations? I feel like that was already addressed with the no sleep, no eating at the beginning, right there. But feel free to take a stab at it, Matthew, Stephen, whoever.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great question. And the way we address that issue, because it's really an important um, part of our business. We have a dedicated staff, a licensed customs broker, whose sole job is to watch for all the governmental publications and customs messages to ensure that if anything is coming up, any regulatory changes that are happening, that they communicate that to our product team and ensure that the product team actually understands what that means. They translate it so that the product team can specify it in the system and implement it correctly. And then at the same time, communicate that change and how we have implemented it to our customers. And so that the customers are also aware of what is happening, what is coming, and how it's being implemented so that they're ready for it.
That's incredible, Matthew, because that to me sounds like a very white glove treatment and an authentic partnership. That's absolutely fantastic. Um, Now there is a second question, which is, can the system automatically flag compliance risks or missing data before filing?
Yeah, I can take that one. No problem. Absolutely. So there's hard stops on if data is missing that is mandatory for submission, of course. There's also soft warnings if you're missing data or we think you should have added like an FTA, a free trade agreement. The 9903s, which are hot right now, right, with the fentanyl, everything that are popping up after you save line items. So yes, absolutely, the system does a fantastic job at mitigating compliance related issues based on the requirements for that shipment to be submitted to customs.
Yeah, and I think specifically that becomes very important when it comes to PGAs. As you know,
Yeah,
PGAs are very
yeah.
complex, very complicated, and we have that PGA management tool that allows basically users to quickly be able to validate hundreds of lines of items that have PGA and be able to even update the information en masse for all the pages. So absolutely very helpful. Yeah.
Beautiful. We also have one here that how does your in-house and AI is the buzzword. Everyone loves AI. But how does your in-house AI solution compare to other AI vendors? And that one's kind of open for either one of you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
Matt, you want to start
Do you
off?
want me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it a shot. And then you can add to it if you like. But I think the most important thing, difference about our solution is that it's fully integrated within our application. It is a part of the user's operation and the way they work in the system. So they don't have to, like, in other solutions, they'd have to log out, they'd have to log into another system, upload that document, and then manipulate it, and then send the data over to their platform. Whereas ours is within the solution, is clicks away, and they can just extract the data, and it actually creates the entry right there in front of their eyes, and they can manipulate it, they can change the data, they can update it the way they want to, they can classify each line item if they want to. They can create products right there from the extracted data, and then that product will stay there for next invoice, and it actually pulls in that product information next time if it recognizes on another shipment. So it saves time in many different ways without even having to really leave our environment, and going into to another application. Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it, Matt.
Beautiful. All right, gentlemen. So we're right on time. I just wanted to go ahead and once again thank you both for everything that you've shared with us this afternoon. Thank you to everyone that attended the webinar. And like we mentioned, we'll be sending over a copy of the recording. So thanks once again, and we'll catch you at the next one. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, Matthew.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody.